Well, gather around, children, because it has finally happened. After constant research, going through the most idiotic of subreddits and the most toxic of Twitter circles, the perfect album has been made. An album that perfectly represents the entirety of my subscriber base. Oh, hello? Yeah, can you stop projecting onto your supporters and just review the album, please? Thanks. Okay. But yeah, for today's video, we gotta talk about the latest album from Jpegmafia and Danny Brown called Scaring the Hoes, being a messy mix of samples, bars, and high energy to make for an amazing album for the cult followings. So after a couple of months of waiting and constantly teasing, we have finally reached a state in which we can actually listen to the album, and with both Peggy and Danny's fan bases practically overlapping one another, it's no surprise that the fans would be pissing themselves in excitement as much as I am right now. But now that we finally reached this point, now we gotta ask the question, was this worth the wait? And to that I say yes, obviously it was. Sure, this album has its kinks and other issues, which I'll get into in a minute. It was still an exciting, hard-hitting banger with some dope ass tracks such as God Loves You, Step a Pig, and Perfect. And then there's the leading singles Lean Beef Patty and Scaring the Hoes that came out up to a week before the drop. It gave some pretty good impressions for the majority of r/hip-hop heads and slightly more in-depth hip-hop fans. But for what I did catch in terms of lyricism that wasn't drowned out by the beat due to weird mixing, which I'll also get into in a minute, it was mainly the signature punchline bars from Peggy and Danny, with Peggy definitely standing out with his slick wordplay, while Danny seems to be the more smoother edge of the rapping angle, complementing well with whatever beat he's given, although through some of these tracks such as Lean Beef Patty, he doesn't seem to have as much as a presence as I would have hoped. But regardless, they both executed pretty well in terms of vocals for most of these tracks, bringing their own little flair and flavor to make each song their own individual standout. But as for the production, I would also say it was a high note as well, especially with how Peggy was able to handle some of these samples, such as the vocal samples on God Loves You and Orange Juice Jones, that slide amazingly and make for some of my favorites from this album. But even when diving away from the samples, we also get a mix of breakbeat, electronica, industrial, and trap inspired sounds sprinkled all around this album that just sounds like Peggy's signature production style, kinda like an upgraded version of his previous album's LP or All My Heroes Are Cornballs. I mean, I think what really brings me into a lot of these songs and makes me want to keep these in rotation is how the samples are able to be tweaked so much with so many different elements to be able to make such chaotic yet exciting music that can really grab anyone's attention. But unfortunately, with all of these high energy and creative beats comes the issue with the mixing, seeming to heavily drown out Peggy and Danny's vocals a lot on this project, with the mixing seeming to be all over the place, like they bounce between recording on a potato and recording on a high quality studio mic. And for the people who've been on this channel for a while, y'all should know my biggest pet peeve is when the mixing is so shit that I can barely hear the vocals. But overall, I would say this album didn't disappoint. Yeah, it had its issues, but it made up for it in delivery and energy, which allowed some of these tracks to stay in my rotation for months to come. So to put this on a scale, I'm giving this a strong 8 out of 10, being the best rap project I've heard this year, so far. But how do you guys feel about the new Jpegmafia and Danny Brown collab? What would you rate it? Let me know down in the comments by liking and subscribing, follow my IG and Twitter, and follow Chocolate on Instagram for more illustrations. And on that note, I'll see you guys on Monday when I consume all of your souls for nourishment, because I am on a diet. Peace.
And hit, drive, Henderson, what the hell are you doing?